Okay, now what I want to share with you is something that was shared with me from my mentors and coaches, and that I have shared with every one of my students. And those who have applied it have been highly successful. And it first starts off like this. Which do you rather? Be on TV, living your dream, or watching someone else live their dream? That's very important, because what it means is that you have to determine and to decide how you're going to go about your life. You should live every day of your life as though it was you were on TV, as though you were living a life worth writing about, living a life worth someone reading about, living a life that is your dream. Now, when you're living a life that's worth writing about, you do just that. You document what you do each day, your successes and your challenges. And this is what I do. This is what everyone that's successful does. Believe me, I know what they do it. Now, everything we've shared so far has been how to improve your focus and how to increase your wealth. Now, those things right there are so important that you must write it down. I'm saying you should write everything down that you do in regards to what we're talking about. Write it all down. Now, what I want to share with you is what I've done. I've created something that I call an ethos. What is an ethos? An ethos, by definition, is the disposition, character, or fundamental values peculiar to a specific person, people, culture, or movement. Now, I created these ethos because all these things that we talked about before, such as your reasons why, your purpose, setting your goals, creating all these things that's designed, your peer group, your successes and challenges, and overcoming adversities. I decided to write all this information down and put it in a book that I called My Ethos. And what my ethos are the rules that I have put in life to determine or to measure my success. Now, what I'm going to share with you is something that's very personable, that's very true and dear to my heart. When I began investing, I wrote down in my journal my rules, in which I would do rules as far as with how well I would treat myself, what time I go to bed, what time I wake up, how many hours I put into investing, what I need to do to become successful. And one thing I wrote in there was this: my children would never go hungry. Now, when I wrote that, I remember I had this gut knot in my stomach. I felt really uncomfortable even writing that. Why? Because I was leaving a very good, secure job. It was good by definition of me making 6 figures a year. It was great by definition of being secure and not having to worry about being laid off because of the role in which my job had. But I wanted more out of life, and not at the expense of my beautiful kids. So when you become self-employed, there is no unemployment. There is no, I'm going to go back and look for another job. This doesn't work. There was, I will win or I will win. And I wrote down in my manual, my ethos, one of the things that I must do is always provide for my kids more than what they need. Now, I've been working, this was some years ago, and while I was moving some boxes around from one office to the next office and bringing some things home and so forth, I came across this book. And instantly I sat down because I remember this book. I remember when I wrote it years ago. And I was just looking at it and said, wow, I remember when I started this. Wow, I can't believe I wrote down in here, I just learned today how to do a wholesale deal. I mean, I wrote down everything, you know, from top to finish, all the questions that I had. And I came across one of my questions, the things that I wrote in there that I would never not do and that I will always be able to do. and will always succeed at. And that I wrote down were, I will always be able to provide for my daughters more than what they need. And I'm not going to lie, I got like sort of a lump in my throat when that happened, because I remember how I felt back then and was wondering, is that possible? Could I do that? Here, years later, not only has that been possible, I have helped them to grow older and learn how to invest, how to understand how money works, and we hold business conversations. I far exceeded what my goals were back then. And now I have new goals, new destinations, new heights and where I'm soaring to. But the all is because of the phrase that I preach in my office, which is this: if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. Write down everything that we talked about. Measure every day. Write it down.